Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this press conference. I am Karen Carty, Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations, and I will be moderating today's press conference. We will begin with an opening statement from Commissioner Thomas, and then we'll open things up for questions from the media. To ask a question, use the raise hand function in your Zoom console, and when called upon, please introduce yourself and state which organization you're affiliated with before asking your question. Please note that you are allowed to record today's press conference. And with that, I will turn the floor over to Commissioner Thomas. Oh wait, Commissioner Thomas, you're muted.
Thank you, Ms. Carty. Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to say thank all of you for being on the call today. And we're most pleased that we're able to have this press conference and answer any questions that you might have. Obviously, you have had an opportunity to see the release and my thoughts about my career as commissioner. And I wanted all of you to know that I have been blessed in terms of all the experiences that I've had, in terms of challenges, in terms of gratitude, in terms of enjoyment, memories have been significant and has made an indelible impression upon my being. And I want to thank the press for your covering the MEAC, our member institutions, because that is critical. And we've always tried to be accessible to the press, because you have a job to do as well. And as stated in my comments regarding my retirement, transitioning, I have to pay homage to my mother and father and the significant impact that they had upon my life. And so I'll end it there, and I'll turn it back over to Ms. Carty.
All right, everyone, just a quick reminder, before you ask a question, please use the raise your hand feature. And then when called upon, please introduce yourself and state your affiliation before asking your question. We have a question here from Joel Sierra.
Yes, Joe Serrera from the News and Record in Greensboro, North Carolina. Commissioner Thomas, you mentioned the challenges that you dealt with during your time as commissioner. One of them obviously was COVID-19 and the pandemic. North Carolina A&T State University sent a letter to the conference regarding the testing protocols and some issues with its disqualification from the men's basketball tournament this year. I'd like to ask you about that, the letter and their disqualification, and the fact that the conference has never responded to a letter that they received in April.
Well, thanks, Joe, for your comments, and that your question will be addressed internally with the Council of Presidents and Chancellors at the appropriate time. And I can assure you that all of our member institutions, including A&T, was apprised of the cadence and the protocol that would be implemented, not only for the basketball tournament, but for all championships. But those, the letters you have reference to, it will be addressed very soon in that aspect of it. So at this point, that's all I can that I can actually communicate to you regarding your question.
Are you happy with the, obviously you're not happy to see a team be disqualified from the tournament, but are you satisfied with the way the procedures and the protocols work during that tournament?
If you refer back to the press release and to my comments, clearly we're all disappointed for any team. And that's, unfortunately, has been some of the cases that has happened all over the country in the different conferences. And if you refer back to my comments, clearly we're all disappointed, but we followed the protocol established and approved by the Delegate Assembly and the presidents and chancellors.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Joe.
All right, David Hall has our next question.
Hey, Dr. Thomas, congratulations. This is David Hall with the Department of Pilot in Norfolk. I'm curious as to why now? Why retire now? Why is this a good time?
Good to see you, David. And if one is true to themselves, and as you know, one of the great philosophers said that to thy own self be true. And I knew that the time is right for Dennis to transition. And I know that the conference is stable now in terms of our membership. Obviously, we are continuously evaluating new members, and we've done that over my career as commissioner, and we've added members as well during my tenure, and we will continue to look at the landscape for new membership. But David, I've had 19 tremendous years, and challenges, we look at challenges as opportunities. And so we think that opportunities are out there for us to re-engineer, recalibrate ourselves as a conference. And we are excited about it, David.
I got one while I'm on. When you look back, what is your proudest accomplishment? What are you proudest of as commissioner of the MEAC?
First and foremost, I like to compartmentalize that question, if I may. One is, it's about the student athletes and providing student athletes with tremendous experiences at everything we do within our championships, within our internship program. So from the student athlete standpoint, that resonates with me, and that's the guiding light. Has always been my guiding light, or the North Star in some aspect of nothing is more important than our student athletes. And so being able to provide them with a tremendous experience in a holistic environment, and that is the top of the list as far as I'm concerned. And so obviously being our student athletes receiving their degrees and being productive citizens in our society, that is, nothing is better than that. Most people are in this business for that. And that's why I got into business, and that's why I stayed in the business. And so that's the number one. Obviously, that's been a host and a copious amount of achievements during my tenure as commissioner. And another compartment is fundraising, generating new revenue streams. That is significant for us. And by any objective measure, we've been able to accomplish that. And most recently, what is personal to me regarding our relationship with ESPN, and having recommended that ESPN buy into a postseason bowl game, and that would provide additional revenue for our member institutions, and even more importantly, it increased our brand. It increased our brand of those institutions who participated. And Julius and Associates, that's an independent firm who evaluate the amount of exposure that our institutions and conference received. In the 5 years that we actually had the celebration, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, that's been over $60 million that institutions have received during those 5 years in promoting their brand by having participated in the Celebration Bowl. So that is significant too, because the world, for that 3.5 hour time frame, saw all that was best with the MEAC institution that participated in it and the SWAC institution that participated in it. And there was so much exposure and branding and marketing leading up to the contest. And so all of that is significant. And so those numbers are not Dennis Thomas numbers, or not MEAC numbers. Those numbers came about from a reputable agency to assess how much would it cost if we had to purchase that time. And so the results are there. Enrollment increases. When our team participated, they saw a spike in enrollment applications and ultimately in enrollment increases. So those things are one of the highlights, high water marks for me. In addition to that is the financial stability that the conference has seen under our leadership here. And we've been able to assist our membership with 19 consecutive years of end of the year distribution back to our member institutions. We're very proud of that fact. So those are some of the highlights that are meaningful to me. Now, David, I want to emphasize that all of them are important, but the student athlete, creating new revenue streams, and the branding of our institutions and conference are absolutely critical.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you as well, David.
Awesome. Kendrick Marshall has his hand up. You can go next.
Commissioner, congrats on a long, illustrious career. The MEAC is going to miss you.
Thank you, Kendrick.
Yeah, you talked earlier about stability of the conference from a financial standpoint, but it's hard not to recognize that over the last couple of years, there's been some defections from the league, some pretty high profile ones, especially within the last calendar year. Do you think the MEAC right now, as you leave it, is in a good place, and where do you see its outlook in the future?
Well, as we mentioned in the press release, by any objective measure, we have achieved significant things under my leadership. Obviously, we are disappointed that institutions thought it was best for them to migrate somewhere else. And so you have to respect that. You disagree with it, but you have to respect the right of institutions to do what they feel is best for their institution. So that's the way life is. That's the way reality. And so that has been happening all over the intercollegiate athletic industry. So, but we have moved on, and we are building for the future. And I don't want to give anybody an impression that I'm not being clear-eyed with this, and I don't have any degree of lucidity when it comes to the reality of members having moved on. But our remaining institutions are stable and solidified, and have made a commitment to continue to make this conference the best that it can be.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, Kendra.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions? If so, please use the raise hand function and we'll get those questions in. All right, David, next question.
One more, Dr. Thomas. What are you going to do with yourself now?
That's the best question that I've been asked all afternoon here. But I've made a decision maybe a decade ago that I want to volunteer to assist elementary school teachers in their pursuit of developing those kids, those students on the elementary school level to be better people. And we all know that from research has shown that the impact of elementary school kids, even before that time, pre-K and up until elementary school, has a significant impact on their personality growing up and becoming young adults. So I just think that that's what I want to do moving forward. And I've said that to certain people for some time now, and I will activate that once the transition is made. And I want to continue to do a significant amount of reading, as I have all my life, and I want to do some extensive traveling as well.
Thank you. Up next, we have Mr. Lut Williams. Oh, you're muted.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Lou. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. You've answered pretty much most of my questions, but what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for your replacement based on where the conference is now? And do you plan to recommend somebody to come in after you? What kind of person would that be?
Well, first and foremost, I'm not going to get into the recommendation, but I have recommended to the presidents and chancellors, who I thought would be a excellent choice. And our presidents and chancellors will conduct a national search. And then that process will be about the business of selecting the best person to meet the goals, objectives for the MEAC moving forward. In terms of the type of person, obviously a forward-thinking, progressive thinking person who has an appreciation and a clear understanding of our environment, who is fundamentally grounded in the student athlete experience and having as its goal of ensuring that their experience it leads towards being educated and a degree. I think that's first and foremost. Now, also you person have to realize that what the world is evolving around us, around our industry, and what we are confronted with on the ground, so to speak. And we've always been challenged financially, our institutions have. So the person is going to have a skill set to be able to continue to mine new revenue streams for our institution, and be about the business of continuing our pursuit of compatibility for new members within our footprint, and understand the landscape from a legalistic standpoint, because there are several legal aspects that our industry will have to deal with moving forward. And that person has to have a understanding of how to advise our membership and our conference what's best given the circumstances that we are confronting. So it's going to have to be a multitask individual that can do a good job of keeping all the balls up in the air. And remember that there has to be a strong will of mind and intrinsically to do what's best for our membership and student athletes. And sometimes that's difficult to do, but you have to do it because it's the right thing to do. And when you do the right thing, and it's never too wrong to do the right thing. So, Luke, that's I hope I've answered the question. And Luke,
Yes.
You've been in the business a long time, and I want to thank you for being supportive of the MEAC. You're tough, but you always been fair.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. And congratulations. Good luck going forward. Look forward to continuing to stay in touch with you. Thanks for those answers.
Okay. Thank you.
Up next, we have Mr. Charlie Neal.
No, Charlie.
Okay, now I got it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioner. Congratulations. Number
Morning,
one,
Charlie.
congratulations, number one. We've been down a lot of roads together. It was 1980. So, and I may have missed the beginning of your press conference, and I hope I'm not asking a question that's already been asked. But my question to you is, why December as opposed to the end of the sports season next year?
Charlie, I indicated earlier that if to thy own self be true, and I think that it's time for Dennis Thomas to transition, and you want to do it when it's best for both parties. And I think it's best for Dennis and it's best for the MEAC that I transition at the end of December. And if you ask most professionals, really, there is no perfect time to do it. You try to make sure it's the best time. And I think at this point in time, from my perspective, is the best time to transition in December.
Well, thank you.
Charlie, you mentioned 1980. That's a long time, Charlie. And you still look like you're in your 40s. I don't know what you're doing, Charlie. But
I was 2 when I met you.
Oh, okay. I knew it was something. Or you found the fountain of youth. But anyway, I met Charlie when I was a young assistant coach at Alcorn State. And we had one of our games broadcast. Not many of you know that there used to be a time BET used to broadcast HBCU football. And Charlie was one of the talents, along with Lim Bonnie. And Lim Bonnie played for the Lions and was a graduate of Jackson State, All-Pro, so forth and so on. So I've known Charlie. Charlie's been a friend of the MEAC as well. Anytime we have called Charlie to give us his expertise on broadcasting, he's been more than willing to do that. Anytime we asked him to MC an event, he's been more than willing to do that. We signed on with ESPN. Our first broadcast season with them was in 2005. We recommended that Charlie be a part of that simply because he is a reservoir of historical information regarding not only HBCU athletics in our institutions, but the athletic landscape of intercollegiate sports. So thank you.
Thank you.
Right up next, we have Mr. Stephen Gaither.
Commissioner Thomas, how you doing today?
So great. That's Stephen?
Yes, sir.
All right. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing great. Good to see you. Congratulations, on this decision for you, and look forward to seeing what's next from you. My question was there one thing that pushed you to this decision, or did you just wake up one morning and know that it was time? And then also, I have a follow-up. I'll come after that.
Yeah, Stephen, it's always good to wake up in the morning,
Yes, sir.
The alternative is not good. But no, it didn't happen just by waking up in the morning. It happened over time, and time has a way of cultivating one's thoughts for their life. And with the amalgamation of those accumulated thoughts over time, it resulted in a decision becoming very clear to me when it's time to transition from the commissioner's position.
All right. And then the second part of my question was, what do you think that your legacy will be, looking forward, from your time at the MEAC, your time as AD at Hampton, and as a football player at Alcorn, coach? Just what do you think your legacy, or what would you like your legacy to be in terms of Black college sports and your career?
Well, you mentioned some of the experiences I've had, and I think I've been very fortunate. I've been very fortunate. Not many people, obviously I played football in high school, was fortunate enough to get a full scholarship to college. And I was fortunate enough to work as a graduate assistant in football on the master's level, and be assistant coach and defense coordinator, and then be a head coach, and then be a director of athletics, and then be a commissioner. So I've had an array of experiences in intercollegiate athletics and different perspectives as well. And I say that I've been very fortunate because at every stop along the way, not only have we worked to graduate student athletes, but I've always been of the mindset and philosophy that you can win championships and still graduate student athletes. And that's been proven time and time again. And so I do not accept one observation, or opinion, or philosophy that one has to suffer over the other. You can educate student athletes and win championships at the same time. And so I've been blessed to have been able to do that and to facilitate student athletes to be better people. Now, it was difficult. If you ever coached, then you know how that can be at times, because you have different personalities that you have to work with, and have a understanding that you're doing what's best for them, even though they cannot see it as clear as you see it at the time. But that's why they call you coach. That's why they call you AD. That's why they call you commissioner. That's why they call you president and chairman. So you have the vision to see what most people cannot see. And that's part of what leadership requires.
And lastly, what will you miss the most?
Relationships. Relationships are critical in life, and particularly in athletics. I just always enjoyed relationship with student athletes. I enjoyed relationships with institutions, and a relationship with corporate partner, relationship with presidents and chancellors, ADs, because when you build a relationship, you are gravitating and emulating toward a common goal. And when everyone is on board to work towards a common goal, then virtually anything is achievable. Anything is achievable. So I feel very comfortable with the position of the MEAC right now. Now, we've improved graduation rates for our student athletes, no question. And if you look at our campuses have made significant capital investments with the facilities for all students, just not student athletes. And you look at the mission of our institution, HBCUs, I commend everyone associated with it, particularly the leadership, because our presidents and chancellors, ADs, coaches have done more with less than most people do with more. And that's been proven. That's documented. And so I'm just happy to see and know now that we are receiving revenues now that we should have received decades and centuries ago. So I don't want to get into that, but I just want to make sure everyone knows about it.
Thanks so much, Commissioner. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Stephen.
All right, up next, Darryl Duvall.
How you doing, Commissioner? I'm sorry, sad to hear that you're going to be leaving. You know, this virtual Zoom. You're welcome. This virtual Zoom has really kind of helped us a lot to kind of be at our house and interview you. And also, I mean, we learned a lot in the past year. But I just want to kind of talk about your current situation of name, image, and likeness, and you know, kind of what's going on, and because that's going to be a part of the new commissioner's agenda. I mean, that's what you're going to have to look at for your new one. And so, what is your thoughts and kind of going forward with that?
Well, I want you to know, Darryl, that our conference have talked about this for many months now, if not years. And I'm very proud to say that our presidents and chancellors took a leadership role in this name, image, and likeness regarding the student athlete NCAA. And not many of you know, but the MEAC presidents and chancellors and directors of athletics had conversations, were involved in the process with House of Representatives and senators. And we were involved in the conversation and the determination about our position as relates to NIL. So I'm very proud of the fact that the MEAC was proactive in engaging the decision makers on the congressional level. Our conference has stated that we are not opposed to student athletes receiving compensation for their name, image, and likeness, and they should. The student athlete should have the ability to transfer to different institutions, and I know that there's been some consternation with that in terms of, you know, we recruit student athletes with no stars sometimes, and we develop them to be 5 stars. And then the Autonomous 5 and other institutions will come down and they'll transfer to those institutions when we've actually been about the business of development. But that's something that we all will have to become adjusted to. Obviously, that's a small part of it, not many student athletes are transferring, but that's something that concerns the MEAC and FCS and other FBS institutions. But we are living in a world now where student athletes and others feel that there should not be any restrictions, and student athletes should be unencumbered to transfer and become immediately eligible as long as they maintain their eligibility to compete at the different levels. So, but the MEAC is for what's best for the student athletes and our institution.
All right. Hey, last follow-up question. Since you just brought up transferring, do you think there needs to be a cap on student athletes transferring to schools? I mean, if you've been to 3 schools and now it's all of a sudden you want to go to another one, I mean, there got to be a stopping point.
Well, Dale, I think that that's a discussion that we are having now. And no decision has been made yet from the NCAA standpoint. But I think what has to happen is what's fair for the student athletes and what's fair for the institution and what's fair to coaches. You know, a lot of expenditures, financial expenditures involved in recruiting student athletes and investing in student athletes from an academic, athletic standpoint, even to a mental, psychologically, and emotional standpoint. So it's discouraging when you invest all of those resources into a student and then all of a sudden someone else take advantage of it by transferring. So Dale, I think that hopefully in the very near future that we can come to some resolution that was fair for the student as well as the institution.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas, and congratulations and good luck in the future.
Thank you, Dale.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Michael Jefferson's next.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. This is Michael Jefferson with YourStreet.tv and also Block Sports.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm doing fine, and thank you very much for affording us this opportunity. Hate to see you go. I'm also giving kudos from my uncle Sam Jefferson as well. And
you know, Sam was a tremendous sports information director at Jackson State.
Yes, sir.
And so that's I give kudos to Sam. He's one of those pioneers, man. And I'm showing my age, but that's okay. It's good to show your age because that means that you lived a long time. So
yes, sir. He retired a long time ago, and he's enjoying his life after SID World as well. But my question is essentially in regards to that. After you decide to step out of the position of being the commissioner, do you plan on helping the next the next commissioner develop the next path for the MEAC, or do you plan on just saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on my future endeavors and move forward from this point forward?
Thank you for that question, Michael. I'm a MEAC guy, okay? So
yes, sir.
There's no question about that because I have invested in the MEAC for over 19 years. And so whatever the presidents and chancellors feel that I need to do in terms of assisting to ensure a seamless transition to the next person, absolutely, I will do that. And because I want what's best for the MEAC and our institution. And so, that's just the way Dennis Thomas operates. And I'm sure that we will ensure that the transition is a smooth one. And I don't see any problems with that.
Yeah. Well, yes, sir. And thank you very much, and much success to you on your future endeavors. And thank you for all of the things that you've done for the MEAC.
Thanks, Michael, and give my best to your uncle, Sam. Yeah.
I will do. Thanks again.
All right.
Thank you. So this is the last call for questions. So think of your questions, raise that hand if you need them to get in, but I'll just mention that this press conference will be made available later today on our YouTube page. So just search MEAC Digital Network on YouTube and you'll find a copy of this press conference and all the awesome things we have to offer. So if there are any more questions, get those hands raised right now. All right, no more questions. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending today's press conference. We thank you for your participation and attendance. And we ask that you visit meacsports.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all the latest up-to-date news about MEAC Sports. So thank you everyone for attending.
Cardi,
Yes, sir.
before you close out the press conference, I would be remiss if I didn't let the press know that I was very grateful to have a competent staff, MEAC staff, that I've worked with over the years. They've been absolutely exceptional. And so I want to publicly acknowledge all the people that have worked over the years to maintain not only the sustainability of the MEAC, but make the MEAC better at every turn. So thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and with that, if no one else has any more comments, we will close. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas.